Oh, here's what we've got. Here's what we're going to assume. And we can play with this number, and we will play with this number in a second. Price, $39 a month. Now, if you join our program, we are going to show you how you can sell basic mail plans and you can sell very expensive mail plans. We have members in our community manager program that are selling packages that are $329 a month. I'm not kidding you. That's far more than most of you are getting for a full-time co-working membership for someone who comes into your space often, drinks your coffee, uses your toilet paper, talks to your team. These are folks who don't show up to the space very often unless they're coming in for meeting room use and that kind of thing. So, but we're going to be very conservative in this first example, just from the start. So we're not inflating what's possible here. I will say my general recommendation is that you don't want to have really inexpensive mail plans, even if you're in a smaller market. There's a lot of value to a professional address. It's, you know, pretty much impossible for the average person to go sign their own lease and get access to an address. And you will attract customers that your team doesn't want to deal with. The high maintenance folks buy the inexpensive plans. So don't do $9.99, don't do $14.99. You want to start maybe at $29, but I like $39. And you'll see if you're following along, we are assuming you're going to charge a setup fee. Now, I know for a lot of you, that's like, what are you talking about? Setup fee. Yeah. So lots of co-working spaces charge setup fees for everything. And no one blinks an eye. And guess what? If they do, then you could waive the setup fee and the customer feels like they won something. So it takes team time to set up any new member for an office, for a flex desk, and for mail, especially with the new CMRA requirements. So you probably want to assume that you're going to do this. And guess what? It's an easy thing to explain. Hey, the new United States Postal Service just implemented this new database. And so when you get a virtual address, our team has to go in and set you up in that database. And that takes time. And so we need to account for that time. That's why we charge a setup fee. They're never going to ask, but you can know that for your own edification, and your team can feel comfortable with that number because you're covering their time or the time to outsource that work, which is actually included in this example that we're walking through online. Okay, so here's the other important thing about mail and starting a mail business. When is the best time to start a mailbox business? 5 years ago. When's the next best time? Today. So mail, just like your revenue for every other service product that you sell, is compounding, right? Your monthly recurring revenue multiplies on itself over time. So the amazing thing about mail is there is no limitation. You are not limited to a number of physical mailboxes. We're going to talk about all of that in the program. I'm not going to go into tons of detail here, but you are really essentially not limited. And if you have, again, if you're picturing landslides of mail being delivered by the Postal Service every day, that just doesn't happen. You get lots of mail at home because you get junk mail. Junk mail doesn't go to business addresses. Only like important mail goes there. And so you're not going to get that much mail, and you're going to store it, and you're going to store it in like filing cabinet. We had a really robust mail program, and we managed it all in a little pop-in filing cabinet with wheels on it that sat next to the front desk. We did have storage for packages. I've mentioned one of the members I remember most clearly got lots of shoes delivered to the space. So we got lots of Zappos packages, for example. And we had to put those in a storage closet because you do need to lock up and secure mail if you're managing a mail program for external customers or even your members. So that's important, but it just does not take up a lot of space, even when you have a lot of members. Okay, so here we go. If you're watching, I'm going to just kind of talk through this. We have 5 years laid out here so that you can see the benefit of don't wait, start now, and start now with our program. And by the end of June, you're done. Okay, so year one, month one, we assume that you get 3 new customers a month. Pretty conservative. So if that's all you're getting now, we can help you beat that. Unless you're in a teensy tiny little market. We had someone from Lansing, Iowa the other day ask, and I was like, I don't know, let's try. And there were referral partners advertising in her market. So I would not be surprised if there are leads. So this is for sure worth testing. There's almost no downside to testing this. And if you get no leads organically or through referral partners after, say, 6 months, go ahead, turn it off. But you owe it to yourself to try to make more revenue for your business. So, okay, let's look at year one. Again, assuming package at $39. And again, we can increase that number significantly by bundling services into that. So that's a basic mailing address service with some things included like shredding, notifications, mail forwarding, etc. And again, you can also design this to work for you. One objection I heard recently is that it's a stress on the team because they have members that want their mail day of, and their team doesn't necessarily have time to sort the mail. What if the mail comes in at 2:00? Are you used to show up towards the end of the day? Okay, so in your terms of service, you say our mail service level is that you will get your mail within 24 hours of delivery. That gives your team or your outsourced resource time to come in and process the mail. We only forward packages on Fridays is another example that I saw recently, right? So you design the service to fit your team or your outsourced team, and just say no, thank you to the customers who have requirements that you cannot meet. No big deal. Okay, so $39, setup fee is $29, new customers every month, 3. So you're starting with 3 customers in month 1. And by the end of the first 12 months, you have a total of 36 customers. Your monthly revenue for year 1 by month 12 is $1,491. Your total revenue for year 1 is $10,000. Okay, not life-changing, but not terrible, given the fact that this should take your team roughly 30 minutes a day. So William Edmondson, who's going to be a guest on the podcast, he's at iPostal. He was also the COO of Office Evolution, which is now they have always been one of the largest co-working operators. William's experience goes back years and years and years. So this is very valid. And I absolutely will attest to this from our mail program as well. His rule of thumb is for every 100 customers, 30 minutes a day. Now, this may vary. And again, if you get a customer that's super high maintenance, say no, thank you. You do not have to serve a customer that's too much work for your team. No, thank you. We are not able to serve you. So just say no, and you can turn down that revenue. No big deal. So in year 1, your team is spending 30 minutes a day and you're making an extra $10,000, or you're outsourcing that. My model does not assume, if you're watching along online, that this is outsourced until year 2. And I'm very conservative about the outsourcing because I know this is an objection that people have. Maybe they don't want their team to do it. Their team doesn't have time, etc. So let's look at year 2. So my assumption in year 2 is that by month 6 of year 2, again, you're just adding 3 new customers a month. You could do that in your sleep, and our program will help you beat that for sure. So this is very conservative. You are up to 50 customers in the second year, 6 months, so 18 months in. So at this point, maybe it's taking you, maybe your team, feels like it's too much work. It's still probably not, but just to be conservative, you're going to outsource this. You're going to hire a high school student or somebody who's retired to come in and do the mail for 1 hour a day. And while they're there, you might have them do some other things. I share often that in my programs that one of my favorite moves was I was hiring for a community manager. I was having a hard time hiring in a very, high income area. I operated in Palo Alto, California. And I ended up with 2 community managers. And one was really an operations manager. So she came in the morning and she did the mail, which got delivered the afternoon before. She processed it all. She made the coffee. She used the pillow. She said hello to everyone. She made, checked inventory. She did all those little operational things. And then our regular community manager would either come in at the same time and overlap, or could come in a little bit later, which worked really well for her. So we had somebody coming in a couple hours a day to just do admin stuff, and she was amazing. So that is something you easily can do. And it could be a high school student, it could be somebody who's retired or a mom who does school drop off and then pops by and makes a little bit of extra cash every month and, just is able to be a part of your community. It could be a member who does a trade. There's so many ways to handle this if you get creative. So we can help with that because in the program, we're delivering standard operating procedures, making sure you have all the paperwork that you need to have, and training on mail and job descriptions for this. Okay, so we're assuming now that at 50 customers, which probably is not necessary, but at 50, you're hiring someone who comes in an hour a day, you're paying them $20 an hour, and you're doing this for the 20 working days a month. So you're spending $400 a month on this person. So yes, that impacts your margin. So now we have a profit line that we've added to this model. But in year two, now at the end of year two, you're up to 69 total monthly customers. Again, you're only adding 3 a month, which is super conservative because of course you're going to be able to ramp this up. Now you're an expert in mail and marketing. I know I'm amplifying a little bit, but I really do believe with focus, you can do this. And maybe that's what use task your team with or somebody else on or you with doing sort of the strategic growth of this revenue line, but you've got somebody who handles the actual management of the mail. So by the end of year two, this year you made 20. Oh, my math is wrong there. Hold on. What did we do there? Let's fix that. Okay, there we go. Hold on. Yeah, I had a minus instead of a plus. Okay, there we go. Wait, no, hold on. I did the wrong line. Okay. You made $22,000 in year two after paying someone to manage your mail. So this is a little bit of your strategy time, right? So that's not accounted for here, but you're outsourcing this. Your community management your regular team is not handling the mail if you so choose. So that is accounted for once you hit 50 customers and you made an extra 22 grand. That's pretty impressive, right? Because that doesn't require personal or any physical space. And these people generally are for $39 a month. You're never seeing these folks, right? They're probably not coming in to pick up mail. So if you're selling more expensive packages that include meeting room time or part-time private offices, then yes, you might see these folks, but great because you're selling them more expensive packages. Okay, so we're going to skip ahead here and just do the punchline. Year three, you're still paying somebody to come in and manage the mail, and you hit 100 customers by the end of year three. And that year in profit, after paying someone to manage the mail, you made $38,000. So in year four, because you're at 100 customers, we assume that you're going to double the time that it takes someone to process the mail. This is not a perfect model. But it's just to illustrate, generally how this would work. You're not going to suddenly double the amount of time it takes. You're going to ramp that up a little bit. But in year four, you're now spending $800 a month for someone to process your 100 and growing customers. At the end of year four, you have 135 mail customers. And this year you profited $50,000. Your revenue was 56, but you spent that $800 a month. And so you profited $50,000 at the end of the year. So I would take 50 grand in basically passive income by leveraging my address and having someone in the space a couple hours a day to do mail. And maybe they're doing a couple other things while they're there. Okay, so if you keep up this pace at the end of year five, then you have 168 mail customers and you've made $71,000 in revenue. And if you still have somebody coming in for 2 hours a day to handle the mail, that's $66,000 in profit. So we can change a couple of assumptions here. What if your average, price was $59? So if you're selling a $59 package with a $29 setup fee. Okay, so now by the end of year five, you've made $100,000 in profit. Not bad, right? That is by having, on average, a $59 package. So if you were to nudge that up, if you're in a market where there's $79, then you've made $39,000 in profit because it doesn't take longer to process this, right? This is just changing the price. So that's pretty impressive. So again, this is a really, really basic. This is 39 to $79. This does not include some of the really creative packages we could get into if you go through our program and we help you set up some of the packages that bundle other services. But anyway, I will go into the detail. We're going to wrap up there. But again, if you want to see these numbers on your screen, then grab the YouTube link. And our next episode is going to be operators who are running these programs successfully, and they're going to share what that looks like in their business. And again, if you're interested in joining our program, you can grab the link in the show notes. And if you have any questions, certainly reach out. We'd love to help you start or optimize your mail program and increase the revenue in your co-working business.